And this goes for all episodes in political struggle, including the struggle of Besigye. That Besigye should be tried in a court, condemned or absorbed, is a right. It's a right. So why not you? The department falls under you. DPP is under, honestly, keeping a man in jail for 8 months. And you say he's guilty. You've not told us what it is. Tell us. Yes, I know he could be guilty as hell. But for as long as we don't know what he has done or not done, for us as laymen, in the court of public opinion, he's innocent. In the court of public opinion, he's innocent until you present him before us and he tells us what he has done. And all the others, no citizen should be incarcerated without fair trial. I've told you this. You may hate me, you may like it. That's up to you. As far as I'm concerned, nothing lost, nothing gained. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, if I had known I was going to talk to the radical Njuba, I would not have come. Because I don't like fighting wars I'm not prepared for. What is this radical Njuba? Is it to the right or to the left? If the radical Njuba is meant for internal struggle, I won't identify with it. If it is meant for external struggle and therefore struggle for mankind, I am a member. Because if it is for internal struggle, me and the Director General should not be here. Because for your law society to call themselves radical is an indictment on our performance. Why should our law society radicalize to struggle against government? For a person like me who's transited from colonialism, those of you what I'm talking about, maybe Ruchikire knows. I've seen colonialism, I've seen Obote 1, I worked under Idi Amin, I was in the bush during Obote 2, I saw the brief transition of this fracas of UNRM, they call it UNRM, and then the 40 years of NRM. And at the crowning of the 40 years of our tenure, when our biological past is first catching up with us, whether we want or don't, we shall go. My question is, what are we leaving behind? What are you leaving behind when your own law society is talking of radicalizing in order to fight you, and to fight you without your input and guidance? That's a question most of us should ask ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from Muzair Chikir and a few other young men I was sitting with there, including my friend, this FDC MP, what you know, we know. What we know, you don't. And it's not our fault that we were born before you. And we had the misfortune of going through this. Bwana Chiwanuka, when your own successors radicalize and they are radicalizing against you, it means things have been going wrong. It means things have been going wrong. And I'm glad the Rukwagos of this world are doing it now when we are ready to reach the precipice. There are a few disconcerting events that have taken place in this country, and I don't want countenance as minister responsible for internal affairs. I've made myself loud and clear that certain things that are happening are unacceptable, because I was here during Amin's time. You know, I'll recount the dictum of this preacher in Germany during the Second World War. I forget his name. Anyway, God save his soul if at all he has any. He said, when they came for the socialists, I kept silent because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the gays. I kept quiet because I was not gay. Then they came for the trade unionists. I kept silent because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews. I kept silent because I was not a Jew. When they came for me, there was nobody left to speak on my behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, don't commit the sin of silence. And those of us who are in authority must learn to hear. In Kiswahili they say, asiolewa na wazazi, asifundishwa na dunia. If you don't learn from your parents, you'll be taught by the world. Those of us in authority, if we don't know how to exercise authority judiciously and with caution and compassion, we shall be taught by the society we are leading. We lead. Well, some people want to rule. Me, I don't ascribe to that. We lead with the consent of the governed. Sometimes the governed are wrong. When the governed are wrong, it's the duty of the leaders to patiently explain to the governed where they have gone wrong. But more often than not, the governed are right. Those who are governed, when you see them crying, when you see them jumping up and down, don't suppress them. Keep them in order, but feel their pain. Mama Njuba has said it properly. She said, for us, we cried. They cried because there was pain they were unable to express. Until the headmistress felt compassion for why these girls were crying and said, what is going on? And I'm sure the situation was improved. Recently, I've heard of episodes of people being, so-and-so has been arrested. Arrested, yeah, very good. 6 months, this person has not been brought to court. Ah. So-and-so has disappeared. Like now, yesterday, today, somebody called me from Mbarara and said a gentleman called Wangomani, Amos Wangomani. A very big cadre, well, these middle cadres who fights from 70 tooth and nail. He's been arrested. Amos Wangomani from Mbarara, just a simple businessman. He was arrested, he's disappeared for 3 weeks. His family went to court. First time he was not produced. Second time he was not produced. Yesterday they went to court. You know what the authorities told us, including Muzei Chiriwachi Wanuka, vicarious liability. They said, we don't know where the man is. Oh. Wait a minute. When people of my size, height, and weight disappear without trace, that's a problem. How can a man big as I am disappear without trace? Because this fellow called me in the morning and said, if he's been killed, at least give us the body to borrow. Listen, families are now beginning to call on us to give them bodies to borrow. We who fought Idi Amin for the very reason. Excuse me. Bwana Chwanuka, you are crossing the Rubicon. Yes, and those of us who took up arms to fight against this don't think there are others like us in our age with the enthusiasm to fight us. Have it upon your heart that if this goes on, we are going to be fought, and I'm too old, too old to change, and too tired to care. You still have 50 years to go. 50 also? Me, at best, God willing, maybe 10 or 15. Maybe 10 or 15. I beg you, when you create all this trouble, and you end up messing me up, please, I'm going to dig a grave. Just roll me in and cover. But that should not happen to us. All and sundry should learn to listen to the governed. These people, you know, the late Pecos Kutesa came to Parliament and were voting. So he also put up his hand. And then the colleagues said, but Kutesa, what are you voting for? You just come in, you're voting. Then Kutesa told you, said, all of these who have put up their hands can't be stupid. Whatever they are voting for must have sense. If it doesn't have sense, then I'm going to be party of the majority as opposed to the minority. Now, when one cries, it's an accident, an incident. When two people cry, it's a coincidence. When three people start crying, it's enemy action. There must be a reason for us to put our ears onto the ground and reverse the cause of this. I can see the Lord Mayor clapping. Well, Lord Mayor, everything you said here is wrong. But you have a right to be wrong. Yes, you may be wrong, but you have a right to be wrong. And it's our duty as the one who's in charge to show you are wrong and put you on the right path. And if you don't get on the right path and you clash with the law, then the law, which is supposed to be blind, will take charge of you. My job is to arrest Chiriowa Chiwanuka, take him to an official hangman. And the official hangman is there, justice intent. You're God and and the hangman will decide whether you hang or you don't. Why should I soil my hands hanging you and taking the blame when there is a hangman paid for it? A man who is hired to hang you and he's paid for doing it. My job is to ensure that you follow the law. In my enthusiasm, I may make mistakes. I could commit errors. That's why we go to the judiciary. That's why we call all these people here land gentlemen. I have 5 of them in my house. I have 5 lawyers, my children. And unfortunately, they follow a lady who is a doctor. Now, when they are having legal arguments, my daughter comes to me and says, Daddy, I think I have here 5 psychiatric patients. I think I have here 5 potential psychiatric patients. I say, why? I say, how can you have 5 opinions and you all claim they are right? One of you has to be right and the other has to be wrong. Let's give it to the lawyers to go to court, argue their case. When we are lucky, we win. When we are lucky, we lose. And when we lose, we appeal. That's what the craft and art of government means. That's why there is this tradition of separation of powers. You are the executive, you have power. But your power is not an absolute. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And there is nobody who can claim they are right when they are corrupted. Morally or physically. Power corrupts. That's why we must be very judicious and compassionate in the exercise of power. Let's not have other matters like Njuba. You are talking of Kassim Buramia was in the Ministry Foreign Service. And I was in Africa Department. And was very, very, very mesmerized about the African Department. Unfortunately for me, I was in charge of liberation movements. So I used to interact with Amin on a regular basis. One day, he called us to this house they used to call Cape Town Villas. And I was a junior officer for the Service Officer 6. And we are going to meet him on Saturday. You know, Amin was a very nice gentleman. Whenever we went there, he would entertain us. And he would give us booze. Now, for the service officer, by your pay, whenever they brought beer, the directors would be talking for us. We would be at the back drinking. Ironically, we would start drinking at around 11. By 2, all of us would be speaking together with the president who was drinking juice. But would be at par. He would be drinking juice. For us, we are drinking beer. But at around lunchtime, we are all very, 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 very jolly. Now, on this occasion, they brought a gentleman from West Nile. And you could see by his code of dressing that the clothes he was wearing had been picked from the shop that morning. He was in a suit and a shirt. Shirt was an iron and a tie. And it was. So I invited him for lunch and told him, "Oh no, I know your problem. You had issues, and it's fitina West Nile. Fitina, what was West Nile? They hate you. They says now I'm releasing you. Go back to West Nile. Go and do your work. And if anybody tries to disturb you, get in touch with me." Then he said, called Jonathan, a coach who was PPS, said, "Give this man 20,000 shillings. 20,000 shillings at that time was equivalent to about 200 million. It was a lot of money. Because my first car, which was a Peugeot 504, I bought at 16,000 shillings. 16,000, I could buy a car. Now it can't buy beer." So he gave this man 20,000 shillings. Now, when we finished the lunch, for us who were a bit tipsy, he gave, as this man was going out, he gave instruction to one of his bodyguards called Adam Besigye. The instruction was in Kinubi. We never understood Kinubi. But the Ambassador Kawesa, who was sitting next to me, said, "Banango ya wedi." The instruction, the model instruction showed, kill him. Then Ambassador Kawesa said, "Banange oya wedi." Are you sure we didn't get sober? We all sobered up. And true to what Kawesa has predicted, this man's body was discovered on Monday morning in the hedges of Cape Town Villas. This is a man Amin had released. Before us, his body was discovered. And that was one of the reasons why we took up arms to fight. You and us ought to fight very hard to ensure that we don't slip back to what it was. Otherwise, that's why I told you that what we know, what you know, we know. What we know, you don't. We could see. Ladies and gentlemen, cars don't overturn just like that. They veer off track. They are running straight, veer off track, and then overturn. Immediately you see your truck veering off track. Bring back the steering. Don't fight us. Help us to get back on track. Because, yes, because when we fight in a civil war, there are no winners, there are no losers. We all get bruised. The winners have bruises, the losers have bruises. But when you bruise your brethren, it's your duty to take them to hospital. Whether we hurt you or don't, it's our job to repair you. And whether you hurt us or don't, it's your job to rehabilitate us. So, why do we have to get to that stage when we can stop it before it happens? Disagreement is not the problem. Making mistakes is not the problem. The problem is when you can't repair the damage you've done, or to prevent the damage you're about to do. In my military training, they told me, my instructors told me, the greatest generals are those who win wars without shooting a bullet. Those who win wars without shooting a bullet. Talk of bullets. You see wars in the world. Have you ever heard of the phenomenon of the military-industrial complex? The phenomenon of military-industrial complex. Weapons are commodities, and they are made in factories, and those commodities have to be consumed. When they are not consumed, the factories close down and people get unemployed. So how do you consume weapons? How do you consume weapons? You create wars. They create wars, we buy their weapons, we kill each other, their industries go on, here we go back begging. Do we manufacture BM in Uganda? No, but we deploy it. Do we make tanks? I'm told Mujira is trying to make some in Ruweru, but we deploy them. Do we make aircrafts? No, we deploy them. So does Rwanda, so does Congo, so does Burundi. And we are consuming all these warcrafts from people who make them, and we pay for that equipment. And we paying Amin's debts for weapons he bought to kill us. Amin went and bought weapons, using them against us. And we, the survivors, are paying. So, Ghana, whatever you use against us, or whatever we use against you, when we win, we shall pay. When you win, you will pay. So, the medicine is, let's not fight. Yeah, let's not fight. Let's tell us how to get back on track. Yeah. Tell us how to get back on track. Chego and I, we should also listen to them. That's the best way we shall get back on track. And then we shall all prosper. Then you will not have reason to bury me when you've killed me, when I can't fight anymore. I'm not going to fight with a gun now, but I still have my head. You know, one day, the late Pecos met General Kashaka, and in their discussion, Kashaka told General Pecos that two heads are better than one. Then Pecos said, yeah, two heads are better than one, except when the second one is yours. So let's put our two heads. Let's put our two heads. Tell us where we're going wrong. Let's also feel. In Kiswahili say kuhisi. Kuhisi. Let's feel your pain. Let's get to understand each other. Let's not get excited. Like Noop says, for us we are not going to be part of the this thing of yours, iPod. But if you are not part of iPod, how shall we know when you are hungry? But I'm suffering from hunger. The man in the kitchen does not know you are hungry. How does he feed you? What you do is come to iPod, grab the Sudeledo, and say, don't serve this one, you also give me. When you've given me soup without bread, I say, I also want bread. How come you are giving Rukwago meat and Chikire chicken? Say, treat us fairly. But if you are outside, nobody will listen to you. And this goes for all episodes in political struggle, including the struggle of Besigye. That Besigye should be tried in a court, condemned or absorbed, is a right.
You know, that gentleman is the chief criminal in the country. I'm going to discuss that when I make my remarks. Thank you very much, Honorable Otafiire. I came here today with a blue message, and my job here was to deliver the President's message. But while I was here, so many people referenced to me, so I kept jotting down things, and I thought maybe I should comment on some of these things before I deliver the President's message. I have personally known I personally knew the late Sam Njuba, both professionally and also by family. All of you spoke about him, but one thing you did not talk about, I think some people talked about the football, the one that he played, but he was also a football administrator, and that is something that no one seems to talk about. He was chairman of our beloved Express, which in our we call Mukwano Gwabanji. He was chairman of Express until he went into exile in 1980. We are part of Express. I work at Express currently with Henry Njuba. So that is something that should be put in the record. He was not all play, he was also, I was actually pleased to learn that he was an ardent golfer, so it looks like we shared a lot more than I knew. So I'm personally privileged to be here because of that relationship, and I think God made that decision that I'll be here to deliver this message because the President was attending IPOD. That's where they are right now, so I got lucky. So Auntie Gertrude, your contribution to the struggle and to the rule of law is not questionable, and therefore you are well within your right to say that you are actually correctly placed on this endowment fund. So I went to school with Sam and Henry. The times that Auntie Gertrude is speaking of, we were with Sam and Henry in Budo. We were in school. Okay, I didn't have to say in Budo, we were in school. So yeah, I'm sure you would understand what I meant. So when we were in school, we were together. And by the way, all this time we did not know they were children of two rebels. All this time we were in school, both of the parents were rebels, together with the Honorable Otafiire. So we didn't know. They were very humble, very, very humble people. And even when Honorable Njuba and Gertrude came back, the humility in the Njuba family is commendable. Auntie Gertrude, about golf, don't worry. Many wives of golfers have similar feelings like yours. In the golfing planet, we call them golf widows, because when the husband starts playing golf, they tend to disappear for long hours. But that is I think Uganda Law Society, thank you very much for starting these memorial trust funds and endowment fund. I think that's a very noble cause, and we will definitely support you in this cause. About Bench Wanuka, I will be there myself tomorrow, because as you remember, I was fired from the Law Society. So I do not quite subscribe to the instructions of the President of Law Society. So I'll be at the Bench Wanuka memorial lecture, because I was fired. So really. So if you find me there, don't say that I defied the President. I was fired already. So just going to attend your comments. I would love to get your written paper and read it. And there's some interesting things. I don't agree with many, but there are some interesting points there. And probably we have a conversation someday on how to balance Article 1 with civil society action, because that is, I think, something that we need. But I think you raise interesting points. What is my role in the return of the President of Law Society? I don't know what my role was in his departure, so I don't know what my role will be in his return. that matter is being raised here, but I have tried to steer very clear of this business of R&B and the fight, so I concentrate on what I am doing. So unless you really think I have some role I could play, I'd rather stay in my small corner where I was and not really disturb the radical Njuba, so that I stay there and I stay here and I do my work. But I'm happy to participate in any way you think I can help. But Honorable Nsibambi, as members of parliament, these things that you raise here on the podium, we should actually actively work on the powers that are given to us in the Constitution to address them. I do not subscribe to the school of thought where I see something wrong and I have the authority to do something about it, and I'm not doing anything about it. So we can actually work with private members, build all these things you're talking about can be addressed that way. Maybe I'm not a politician enough to understand that this may be an opportunity to raise these issues, but we have a correct forum. Like, for example, enforcement of court orders. It's a matter that has been in our space as lawyers for a long time. The question is, how do you balance the two interests when a court order is misused and when a court order is being properly done? So I think what we need to find is what is the middle ground. For example, in land, you will find people misusing court orders and evicting people. Now, those people have to be protected. So it's a neat balance that we need to sit down and talk about. And fortunately, all of us are talking about the issue of dialogue. What is it that we are not doing right, which we can correct? How can I correct it? So when they tell me that they are misusing court orders, like General Otafiire said, yes, we know that the process is laborious. What do you think we can do to make it better? That is how you can help us in the executive to get our issues correct. Honorable Bijura, you have noted your comments, and we thank you very much for your contribution to the motherland. Lord Mayor, I think I've answered your major question. The other issues you've sent to me directly, what is the role in the return of the president? You can guide me. We were in class for the 4 years together. We studied under the same lectures, same lecturers. We know the same law. If you know a section that I can use as Attorney General, please share with me, and I'll be happy to use it. So the other issues that have been raised are correct. We really do not want to go back to where we were. I think Honorable Otafiire summarized what our thinking is. None of us Ugandans want to go back to where they found us. So we need to work together to get to where we want to get. Of course, Honorable Otafiire, like I told you, is the chief criminal, because for me in the Constitution they told me that everyone who wants to sue government sues the Attorney General. I think we should make an amendment and say sue the Minister of Internal Affairs represented by the Attorney General. So all the offenses are committed there, and then they bring them to me to defend. So when people are disappeared, I normally write to the Minister of Internal Affairs and say, Minister of Internal Affairs, can you investigate and tell us where this person is? Then he comes back and tells me, I don't know where he is. So I go to court and I say, I don't know where he is. Then he comes here and says, you are responsible for it. General Otafiire, we have to discuss this matter. I'm going to now start making our communications unprivileged. It's going to become public. So, but really, honestly, like Honorable Otafiire said, no one wants that, and we try as much as possible to get the answers. And when we go to court as a lawyer to make an answer, we make it diligently and clearly. So do not think that we are not working. No one wants to see this. The balance between law and keeping the peace is what the executive is supposed to do. And like he said, we may make mistakes sometimes, and if we do, please correct us. And if we cannot, then you can say we were wrong. I am going to have a long conversation with his worship, the Lord Mayor, on his issues, because he almost argued a bail application here, but I just realized I didn't have the authority to rule. You hand it back to the judiciary and they deal with it. I cannot answer the bail application you have made. But honestly, it is times like this when you have people like Honorable Njuba that you sit down and reflect, and all these excerpts that you're reading reflect, and for me they are personal. some of these things you talk about are personal. So it's not that I was told about these things. My grandfather was disappeared, as you correctly read. Why? Because he was called Namatulda for a reason. He told it as he saw it. He went to prison as many times, maybe 10 times more than the late Njuba. He was in and out of prison as well at that time. So we realized those are personal to us who were in exile for a couple of years. So it is something that we need to reflect on, all of us as a nation, as a people. Where do we want to be and how do we want to get there? So if someone has a view, listen to it. If you don't agree, you can still tell them I don't agree. But failure to listen to each other, to talk to each other, to dialogue, I think is one of our biggest challenges. And maybe with this memorial lecture, we will sit down and start talking to each other. Because for me, like you said, when this war of RNB came, I couldn't talk to anyone, so I just kept quiet. For 1 year, I've kept quiet. Now we are back on track, I hope. I don't know. But 1 year later, I still seem to hear the same complaints of a year ago. So maybe you may need me to help you to get this where you want to deliver it. So I think that is why we need to work together to try and get these things together. But the radicalism needs to be balanced. So with those comments, I would like to present the speech by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni at the memorial lecture of the late Sam Njuba, the 18th day of September 2025. So all the comments that have been made before this should not be attributed to His Excellency the President, they should be attributed to me personally. So his message is, we are here to remember and celebrate the life of the late Sam Njuba, and we remember him for his contribution to the liberation struggle that brought the NRM leadership to power in 1986. We appreciate his patriotic spirit and determination, since he did not deter his wife, Mrs. Gertrude Njuba, from participating and taking up roles in the struggle, considering the risks that were involved all along the way. This was a call to redeem the people who were undergoing brutality of past regimes, a humanitarian gesture that is worth commendation. He is also remembered for his service to this nation as the Minister of Constitutional Affairs, 1986 to 1993, a lecturer at Makerere University in 1981, a member of the Constituent Assembly of 1994, and for taking up political leadership roles in multi-party politics of this nation. His involvement highlights the NRM role in ushering in democracy by enabling multi-party political dispensation. Allowing people to freely pursue their political journey according to their discretion is a position we took and we continue to take, because the power belongs to the people who are the voters. The NRM is a Pan-African, non-sectarian organization. It is not opposed to people having difference in political views, but aligns with constitutionalism and the rule of law, security of the property of all Ugandans, and ensuring a peaceful environment in which Ugandans can thrive and achieve self-reliance and sustainability of our economic environment. We also advocate for hard work and pursuance of a mission that can cause a dramatic transformation to the masses. The NRM leadership has put up a spirited fight towards economic transformation since inception, and it will not relent until the objectives of the NRM liberation are met. We have been continuously advocating for poverty eradication since inception and put in place the necessary infrastructure, structures, policies, initiatives, and strategies to enable all the people get involved in the money economy. The NADS, Operation Wealth Creation, EMIOGA, Parish Development Model, GROW, have all been targeting Ugandans in different categories and equipping them with knowledge and funds to boost their ability to produce, sell goods and food for financial gain. We continue to preach the gospel of poverty eradication, coupled with advocacy for East African and African integration as a means of causing meaningful development as brothers and sisters of one block. This approach will cause an economic leap that will expand our local markets for goods and services, enabling global negotiation for opportunities, as well as avoiding oppression by unworthy global elements. We all have a part to play in the complete metamorphosis of the African race towards development. We thank God for the legacy of the late Sam Njuba of involvement in the NRM struggle and service to the nation. Finally, I appreciate Mrs. Gertrude Njuba for her role as a mother to the children during the demise of the husband, and her contribution to the service of the nation during the NRM struggle and standing firm to the cause of the NRM liberation to date. We pray that the Almighty God to the Almighty God to continue sustaining the family, and that the great memory of the late Njuba lingers on. May he continue to rest in peace. Thank you. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda. I thank you.